Hello, Wellness Check Wednesdays community. We wanted to take a moment to remind you that while our podcast serves as a safe space for open discussions and sharing experiences, we are not mental health experts. This podcast is a platform for you to express your thoughts, feelings, and experiences in a judgment-free zone. Our aim is to foster connection, provide support, and create a sense of community. It's crucial to acknowledge that we are not a substitute for professional mental health advice or treatment. If you or someone you know is dealing with mental health challenges, we strongly encourage seeking guidance from qualified professionals. Remember, reaching out to mental health experts can make a significant difference. If you ever feel the need, don't hesitate to connect with a licensed therapist, counselor, or healthcare professional.
This is the Wellness Check Wednesdays podcast, a share space, a judgment-free zone, a place to meet and discuss our mental health. So let's check in.
Well. It is that time once again. It is Wednesday, and we always want to meet and greet. And as always, let's check
in.
All right. As you already know, my name is Brian Livingston. I am your moderator here at the Wellness Check Wednesdays podcast. We have our originators here as well. First, by way of Fayetteville, North Carolina, here at the Share Studios, we have my man Kevin Marshall.
Hey, what's going on, good people?
What's happening by way of Cleveland, Ohio, we have my man Edwin Vereen.
It was raining, then it was nice again. It was raining, now it's nice again. But other than that, all is well.
Sounds like springtime in Ohio.
Yeah.
Also joining us on the show by way of Fayetteville, North Carolina, we have Joe Dab Aguirre.
What up?
What's happening? Glad to have you on the show. So, this week's topic, after careful consideration, is a very interesting topic indeed. We would like to talk about the fear of success and the fear of failure. And what I equate to that is simply fear of getting stuff done. You're like, I don't know if I want to do this because I don't want to fail. Or I don't know if I want to do this because, heck, I might succeed, and it just brings more work and more eyes on me. In a sense, in the matter. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pass the mic over to my man Edwin Vereen as he opines on this week's topic.
So this week's topic, fear of success and fear of failure, kind of began during last week's podcast. Joe mentioned something about it, and it really just stayed in the forefront of my thoughts all week. And I said, you know what, it should be a topic that we should talk about because it's a unique kind of topic. Because fear of failure, you understand that, but fear of success, no. Before I say this, when it comes to success, it's subjective. It's very subjective, and it varies from person to person. So that being said, I'll be sharing with you two articles, excerpts from two articles. The first is called "What is Fear of Success" by Kendra Cherry from verywellmind.com. And it goes, the fear of success involves being afraid of achievement, often to the point that people will sabotage themselves. While success is generally reviewed as desirable, these are reasons why people may be fearful of doing too well. It is important to recognize that people often don't fear success itself. Instead, their fear is centered on the potential consequences of success, because expectations of success are often based on the idea that achieving your goals means making sacrifices or enduring losses. It is perhaps not surprising that people may be wary of what success might ultimately cost them. So characteristics of this particular thought, if you thought, whatever you want to call it, lack of goals. By having very low expectations, people ensure that they never make any real headway towards success. Giving up. In many cases, people derail their own success by quitting right before it seems they are about to succeed. Procrastination. Ooh, I'm all too familiar with that. I'm honest with mine. Putting things off until the last minute possible, to the possible last minute, means that people aren't doing their best or most thoughtful work, which can seriously impair their chances of succeeding. Self-handicapping. People who fear success may place obstacles in their own path that decrease their chances of doing well. These behaviors can range from minor acts of self-sabotage to more serious self-destructive behaviors. And as there is success, there is failure. Now, this has a medical scientific name from it, and this article comes from the Cleveland Clinic. Fear of failure, also known as atychiphobia, right? Atychiphobia is an intense fear of failure. It may cause you to put off or avoid any activity or scenario that has the potential for an unsuccessful outcome. Someone with this condition may be scared to try new things, take risks, or embrace growth for fear of failure. People with atychiphobia may avoid any situation where they see potential for failure, such as an exam or job interview. It can also mean being afraid of a failed relationship, a failed career, or being disappointment to others. So as I'm scrolling down the list, it says, what are some symptoms of atychiphobia? Afraid of performing simple tasks at work, home, or school. Angry or irritable. Anxious about being judged by others. Sad or depressed. Pessimistic, aka a negative outlook on life. Prone to procrastination if a task or activity seems challenging. Unable to maintain relationships and unwilling to accept constructive criticism or help. That's the most I've read since school, gentlemen. So I broke it down to you in a nutshell. What is the fear of success and the fear of failure? And BeLive will have those links in the description box of the podcast. I'll go first. The fear, as they say, as much is given, much is required. And as I stated earlier, success is subjective. But the other S is sacrifice to get the success. Like, what are you willing to sacrifice in order to make things happen? In my case, I'll talk about me. I would have to sacrifice my flexibility and my comfortability. Right now, I'm comfortable. Me and someone close to me had a conversation last day about, hey, it's 41 and what you're doing. I was like, hey, I'm trying to put it together. And they said some real stuff. And most of it's true. I can't run from it. So my fear of success would be giving up my flexibility and my comfortability and sacrifice. I feel like I've sacrificed enough, but I know I have to sacrifice more. And a lot of times they say, well, sometimes you guys do stuff you don't want to do in order to get to where you want to go. But the stuff I want to do it within my skill set that's going to pay off in the future. So that's why I have to go back to the drawing board and construct a plan. Fear of failure. I've had several failed relationships. I'm not going to lie to you. Part of it, some of them are my fault, and some of them are the fault of the other person. And so fear of failure or atychiphobia really doesn't bother me much. It's just, I think Wayne Gretzky said it. You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. So right into like my late 30s, early 40s, I'm putting up the shots as much as I possibly can. I should have done it in my 20s, but when I feel, for me in my 20s, I wasn't where I need to be mentally as far as thinking about long term. But now I'm in my 40s, I'm thinking about it even more. And people are like, oh, it's a little late, you're wasting time. I was like, well, I look at success. Success is one of those things that don't come overnight. It's a long road, a long process. And I said before in this podcast, and I'll say it again, I've heard it on the Steve Harvey Morning Show, and I've seen it all over the place now. The road to success is full of potholes, detours, and obstructions. The one thing you cannot do is get off the road and trying to find an easier way to success. I know I said a lot. It's time for somebody else to talk. Joe Dab, what say you about fear of failure, atychophobia, or fear of success, or both?
Well, I mean, you hit a lot of the major ones I was thinking of, but the one I want to hit is it applies to both success and failure, is perfectionism. For me, I don't like doing things unless and I've said it in a couple of these other podcasts, but I'm either 0 or 100. I either give it all or I don't want to even try. And that's a perfectionist in me. I like things to be perfectly done. And I mean, I'll give you an example of one we've talked about many a times, Kevin. My kitchen. If my kitchen isn't done right, I don't want it to get done. So I've been kind of putting it off and procrastinating. Again, that's one of the key words for today. I'm procrastinating doing it. And it just comes down to I have a fear of either failing or succeeding. And for that one, I don't really know which one because I've never done it. I've never built a kitchen from scratch or redone a kitchen from scratch, so I don't know if I can succeed. Right. At the same time, I'm scared that if I do it wrong, I'm gonna waste a bunch of money and I'm gonna fail. There's other aspects to this. There's what we call it comes down to risk aversion, right? And I'm avoiding taking the risk, and that's back to the fear of failure. I mean, if I do this, if I don't do anything, I'm not taking any risks. So I just do nothing, and it comes into the procrastination. It definitely procrastination doesn't stress me out as much as taking risks does. It really goes into your anxiety and your stress, and sometimes those two will leave you in a motivational paralysis. I mean, you just have the inability to do anything. You just kind of sit there and just, just do nothing and hope that something interjects in your life that's just going to force you to do it. For me, I'm in that boat all the time, and I just kind of put stuff off, and then I just kind of like tomorrow. And this can apply to many situations. For me, I'm just bringing up that one, right? And like you said, we talk about this in our work, in our workplace. So like how we brought this one up last week was moving on to another job, taking that risk, getting out of your comfort zone, and bringing success into your life, and the fear of that. Hey, what if this doesn't work out? I mean, to be honest, there's a good chance it doesn't work out. There's a good chance it does work out. It's all back to a bunch of what ifs, and if you don't put the effort in, you'll never know. And like you said with the Wayne Gretzky quote, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Trust me, I get it all too well. I've been at this job for 10 years, and it's kind of like, all right, Ed, you're not trying to move to any management position, so you've hit the ceiling. What you gonna do? I don't know. So, like I said, back to the drawing board. Kev, what say you?
To me, this is like playing with a double-edged sword. And I'm going to try and hit this in the nail in the head and simply as possible. Imagine this as a Venn diagram. You have the fear of success and the fear of failure. What they both correlate to is the fear of living. Because just as much as, and Joe brought up a good point that, not taking that, you're scared or afraid of taking that risk because you don't want to fail. But at the same time, if you don't take a risk, how do you know that you would succeed at something? And how I look at it is the people who weigh these pros and cons out are ones, to me, in my opinion, my personal opinion, are the ones that are scared to live. Like, it can be as simple as trying new foods, cooking new foods. I'm either going to succeed at this or I'm either going to fail at this. But at the same time, what a lot of people don't also realize too is that those failures don't have to be failures. They could be steps to succeeding. They can be steps to progress. Okay, you know what? I messed up on this last time. I'm gonna change it to this time. And it's it it like I said, it's tough because yes, how I view it, it's a double-edged sword because if you don't take a risk, you would never know or never have that fear of failing. But also, if you take that risk, how would you succeed? And a big thing to me with fear of success is that when a lot of people get power, they forget who who they are, not what they are, where they came from. No, but they forget who they are because I think Tom Hardy said it best. I've seen a quote by him many a times is like, as a CEO, could you treat a janitor like a president of a company? Could you have the same respect for a janitor as you would for the CEO of your company?
I'd have the respect for both of them equally as people,
Mm-hmm.
not as positions. You know,
But now, when you look at it like that, it goes into another pot, which I had to learn that lesson real quick because you can have a janitor, and if you don't have the respect for their position, they're the ones that's cleaning the latrines, they're the ones that's vacuuming, they're the ones that's washing or washing the windows. How can you have the respect for the person? And this is getting a little personal, but how can you have the respect for the person but not the position? Because they're doing a lot of the work that makes the company go further. Because how I look at it, and I've seen this and I've dealt with it personally, is that, hey man, you're not going to pick that up, or hey, you're not going to just wipe that table down, because now somebody has to come behind you, and now it's just a trickle effect. That one person coming behind,
oh, for
now
sure,
they have to
for
go.
sure.
So that's
And
where,
that comes down to like people just not doing the right thing. You
right.
know, hey, I got it. We got a janitor. We don't need to worry about basic cleaning up after ourselves. Seriously?
But
I ain't got no kids. Clean up after yourself. What you doing?
but it comes down for me personally is that like I have the respect for the janitor's position just as much as I do for a CEO position. Me personally, in my book. B, what say you, man?
When I hear a topic such as this, I look within myself and I always try to figure how can I better myself? How can I take this topic and improve myself? Because one thing that I've fought with from time to time in my life is complacency,
Mm-hmm.
where I've done just enough. I do just enough to get by and I chill and I'm okay. I spent the majority of my youth being an overachiever and all this and that and the third. And then I find myself like, what did all that overachieving get me? The struggles of life, just like everybody else. So there's times where I get complacent. There's times where I'm just like, yeah, do I really need to put in the extra effort? And that's where I see a fear of failure, fear of success with me. Because even with my work here at the studio, there's times where I'm like, I've already taken on a lot. Do I want to go the extra mile to get another client to add to my workload? Do I have time? I know I have time. People make time for success.
Mm-hmm.
I find myself at times like that. Do I really want
It's
to to that phone call? Do I really want to answer that email? And it's like, yeah, I need to because I need that money flow to keep going. But there's times where I'm just like, I'm bogged down. I'm at a like my creative juices aren't flowing. I'm just like, oh, another project. Maybe maybe I'll sit back on this. I don't know. That's what I face from time to time, and I'll be the first to admit it. And I'm just like, come on. When I wake up in the morning, I need to motivate myself more. And then like, that's more the fear of success for me. It makes it just putting more on my workload. Fear of failure, more or less, is I can't. Where you've taken enough beatings, you've taken enough L's in your life. Can you mentally take any more L's?
That's a
Even though
good point.
it's like I have a certain level of success, and I'm thankful for what I have. Of course, I want to have more. I would love to have more and do the same amount of work. That's not how none of this works. And I definitely took a very this was a gamble taking this on because it had almost no backing. I mean, when I say backing, I mean it's just like it's just, is it are the people going to gravitate towards it? Is this business going to be profitable? Are people going to look at it and be like, oh, this ain't good enough? And I fight that battle all the time. That's why I stay in the lab trying to always hone my craft. And then, but there's still yet some projects where I say, you know what? Maybe this one, I mean, I might need to just stay in my lane because if I overextend myself and take on something I ain't got no business taking on, it could do more damage than good.
Right. And
But
I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, V,
I
but
do it every week.
to piggyback off of a topic that you just said that really just stuck out to me, and what resonated with me was that a lot of people get scared to learn from their steps of failure, that fear of failing. Because, like you just said, it's one thing to, I don't need to do this, let me stay in my lane, because you're looking at it long term, this could cause more damage than good. But then there's other times where me as myself, and I've seen you do it sometimes too in the years that I've known you, that like, you know what, let me do this. Let me hone my craft up. Let me see what I can really put out there and see what I can do.
And essentially, with what I'm doing now with the work I do here at the Share Studios, shameless plug, is I have put myself out there because my name, just as well as business owner Jimmy Keefe, his name is on this business, and he's been very critical of my work, as he should, because like I said, his name is on it, my name is on it, and some of the earlier projects, I was like, this is rough, but I need to keep doing it. It's gonna get better. Keep practicing. Keep applying more. Each day, learn something new, and eventually, like I said, eventually this will catch on. And I the projects that I have done, I'm thankful for them. They are getting better. I have submitted another video today for a local sorority group. They do a lot of work with young females, and they had a contest that they were putting together. They entrusted the help of the studios, and one side I was like, we put a lot together, and this is good. On the other side, there is that every single detail, and there's certain things that I know I missed on, and I'm just like, I want them to win. I hope my skill level is enough for them to win. If they don't, will there be a level of will there be a level of disappointment? Absolutely. And it goes right into the topic that we're talking about, fear of failure. I'm very nervous. But did I fail if they didn't win? Or did I fail when I don't do some projects?
There it is.
I think it's more from you. You don't want to feel like you've failed them because you put all your God-given talent, skills, and ability into something. You know as well I do, man. People pick apart stuff all the time. I've been picked apart so much that I'm numb to it now. I used to get real offensive about it because I thought one thing and one person thought another thing. I can look at it like, oh, yeah, that does make sense. And sometimes it's just you have to look at it like, you know what I'm going to do. If you bestowed me giving me the ability to embark on this project, I'll just go ahead and give you everything I got in it. And
It's
and at the end of the day, man, like all we can do is get up and try. That's all we can do.
Beli, what you were talking about sounds like one of the things I read was it's called the imposter syndrome. It's uh, it's the belief that one is not as competent or capable as others perceive, often accompanied by a fear of being exposed as a fraud. It's like you yourself don't know if you can meet their expectations, you know? The expectations that are set, are you able to deliver, you know?
You know what?
And
Go ahead, Joe.
it dives into another thing I wanted to talk about, which was confidence, or like in specifically lack of confidence in terms of fear of failure and overconfidence in the fear of success. You know, maybe I'm too overconfident in my abilities, and I don't know if I can actually succeed. You know, or I guess it's the opposite. I don't know if I'd fail or not. And then the
Mhm.
lack of confidence means like, hey, I don't know if I can do this. I'm pretty good at stuff, but I don't know. What if I do succeed? Oh, then what? Now I'm obligated to, like, this is my new bar I set for myself.
And I think with that, like we all have our responsibilities, present time right now. Just imagine when you start working at something, you start becoming good, you start becoming great at it, and people take notice of it. And then there's another level. You've hit success, and with the next level of success comes another set of responsibilities, comes another set of expectation, and you still have that nervousness, that sense of anxiety, that sense of fear. Like for me, when I remember the first time I ran the board at the radio station, like my heart was like beating through my damn shirt, big time. I'm like, okay, I gotta make sure I hit the button here, I turn this down here. It's like to me at the time, it's like it's 1,001 things I had to do. Okay, make sure you time the commercials out. Okay, make sure when this guy's running long, make sure if you got to copy and paste a PSA, copy and paste 3 more than PSAs and move them down here. So if he goes, if he happens to take a third commercial break, you got a third commercial break. Okay, sound like he's about to wrap up a segment. So knock these 3 out, and then hit the disclaimer button, then hit the station identification, and you back to business. I mean, there's times I've been sitting there like just like looking at the clock, looking at the person, looking at the screen, looking at the clock, looking at the person, looking at the screen, just nervous. But I knew that I took that. I don't want to say it's a risk, but I trusted myself. But you know what? You said in 2023, one of your goals, because I don't set resolutions because they're silly. One of your goals is to learn a new skill. And you learn a new skill by running a board at a radio station. You've also learned a new skill by doing a video live stream. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. There's sometimes during the season video live stream, my heart's beating out my damn chest. I don't want to get it wrong. I don't want this to be too high. I don't want to be too low. I know people are going to watch it. Then we have things to say. Turn this up, turn this down. Why is this here? Why is this there? Why? It's like I'm being watched. It's kind of like, well, damn. I said, you know what? Go in there and do the job like you know how to do the job.
Right.
That's all. Just get in there and do the job like you know how to do the job. Don't let your fear of criticism or fear of yourself or fear of anything else, get in the way. You got a damn job, do it. And that's how I calm myself down, by just jumping in, jumping into the 90-foot end of the pool and swimming,
But yep, there's a lot to take in, a lot to digest. Is it very easy to criticize? But I tell everybody, keep pushing, keep doing. Just keep doing.
Yeah.
Be fearful, make it happen, and we'll succeed. With that being said, Zoom's doing its thing, kicking us out of here. But every single Wednesday, we always want to meet here and let's check
in.
Y'all next week.
Holla.
Bye, y'all.
Hey, can we keep going?
Keep it going.
Thank you for listening to the Wellness Check Wednesdays podcast. Please join us every week, Wednesdays on Zoom at 6 p.m., and join our Facebook group for updates and to participate. We care about your mental health, so let's check in.